Chapter 186. Emotionless sword intent is obviously a mystic class mid-tier sword intent. The biggest difference between me and him should be our cultivation level. Li Fuchen thought to himself as he killed his opponent with a single blade. For sword arts and sword intent, every increase in grade would result in a huge difference. It was almost a crushing effect. If someone with the same cultivation level was to face someone who comprehended a mystic class high-tier sword intent, Li Fuchen would definitely be killed in a single blade. There would be no suspense. Li Fuchen was like an anomaly. With his first-level Earth Realm cultivation, he won consecutive battles. The number of Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artists that died in his hands was no less than 6 or 7, catching up to Emotionless Sword. Although there were people in the 7th branch that were stronger than Li Fuchen and Emotionless Sword, their cultivation levels were too high. They were immediately targeted by the higher-level Demon Dao martial artists and didn't have the chance to slay the weaker Demon Dao martial artists. "Go kill that kid for me." The Devil's Hand Guild's branch leader was abnormally valiant. He was fighting one against 2 7th branch leaders and was still able to divert his attention to transmit a message to the other Demon Dao martial artists. Hearing the command, a Demon Dao martial artist with a strange movement technique scuttled towards Li Fuchen. Light body technique intent. Li Fuchen's senses were sharp. He could feel a ghostly shadow that was approaching him like a fish. Martial artists had their own specializations. Sword Dao martial artists naturally focused on sword skills, which was why they could comprehend sword intent faster. Saber Dao martial artists focused on saber skills and were able to comprehend saber intent faster. This was obviously a Demon Dao martial artist that focused on light body techniques. A cold light flashed. A short sword pierced Li Fuchen's body. The Demon Dao martial artist frowned slightly. From the feel of the blade, it seemed like he missed. Li Fuchen immediately stopped revolving the True Inferno technique and switched to the Wind Shadow steps. Using the mystical dragon chi to push the Wind Shadow steps, the speed was unparalleled, allowing him to evade his opponent's assassination. Starfire Sky. When he reappeared, Li Fuchen was already behind his opponent. Executing the Starfire Sky, the sky was filled with sparks. "My life is over." This demonic path martial artist, who was proficient in Qigong, was horrified. The sparks splashed onto his body, and his Zhen Qi, which was not weak at all, was easily burned through like paper. Then his body melted, and he didn't even have time to scream. Mystic class mid-tier sword intent is enough for me to look down on those in the Disha realm. I just need to keep increasing my cultivation level and my cultivation techniques realm. The first level of the Earth realm was still too low. Had it not been for the mystical dragon secret technique, Li Fuchen wouldn't be able to achieve such glory. Damn it, what kind of freaks are the Azure Water sect? The leader of the Devil's Hand branch saw everything and was furious. These sect freaks were completely unfathomable. Others could use their cultivation to determine their strength, but the sect freaks couldn't. Everyone from the Devil's Hand Guild, listen up. Break out of the encirclement with all your might. Don't get caught up in the battle. The Devil's Hand branch leader roared. Everyone from the 7th branch, listen up. Don't let a single one of them escape. Group 4's team leader Luo Hui roared. He didn't expect a Devil's Hand branch to be so hard to deal with. They obviously outnumbered them, but their combat strength was so formidable. It seemed like he had underestimated these Demon Dao martial artists. One side was trying to break out of the encirclement, while the other side was desperately trying to encircle them. The battle was much more intense than before. Primary Clear Hand. After exchanging dozens of moves, Emotionless Sword finally activated his secret technique. The secret technique he cultivated was a 3-star secret technique called Primary Clear Hand. When the chi flowed to the hand, the power would instantly increase by more than 2 folds. A single blade was enough to sever the opponent's left arm. After 3 blades, the opponent was slain. The Devil's Hand branch might have a formidable combat strength, but their overall strength was still inferior to the 7th branch. As time dragged on, the casualties increased rapidly, and the further it went, the more casualties there were. The Devil's Hand branch leader panicked and shouted, "Elder Scorpion, please make a move." It's easy for me to make a move. 5 million gold coins. A hunchbacked elder walked out from the manor. I agree. The Devil's Hand branch leader replied anxiously. Hee, then I shall thank you. The hunchbacked elder grinned and released a terrifying chi presence. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, no one could move. Low-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist? The members of the 7th branch were shocked. The Devil's Hand Guild actually had a low-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist? This was completely out of their expectations. The Devil's Hand Guild branch leader felt pain and malevolence in his heart. Elder Scorpion is one of the upper echelons of the 5 Poison Gang. The 5 Poison Gang is one of the top 3 Demon Dao organizations in the Azure Water region. There are plenty of experts within. This time, Elder Scorpion is here to invite the Devil's Hand Guild to join the 5 Poison Gang. Because he doesn't know where the headquarters is, he specially looked for me and asked me to send a message to the headquarters. With Elder Scorpion's help, killing all the members of the Azure Water sect's 7th branch would be as easy as blowing off dust. Low-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist? Li Fuchen's eyes widened. Heaven Realm martial artists were on another level. Any one of them could instantly kill a large group of Earth Realm martial artists. It is your honor to die in my hands. Go to hell. Elder Scorpion waved his hand and shot out blue needle-shaped chi forces. Seems like Lu Kuan's luck isn't bad. I actually caught a big fish. Right at this moment, a giant palm descended from the sky and covered the needle-shaped chi forces. A series of horrifying chi explosions echoed. Within 100 meters, be it the 7th branch's Earth Realm martial artists or the Devil's Hand Guild's Earth Realm martial artists, they were all sent flying by the chi forces. Each of them vomited fresh blood and had a pale expression. Its vice faction leader Lu. The 7th branch members were all delighted. Lu Kuan, the 7th branch's vice faction leader, was also a low-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist. Interesting. Seems like I won't be able to earn these 5 million gold coins. But if I can kill a Heaven Realm martial artist from the Azure Water sect, I think leader will not treat me badly. Elder Scorpion grinned and suddenly crouched down. He bent his right calf and lifted it up like a scorpion's tail. Swish. Elder Scorpion shot towards Lu Kuan. His right calf extended forward and shot out a blue chi force. At the same time, both of Elder Scorpion's hands were like 2 giant pincers, one on the left and one on the right, viciously clamping down on Lu Kuan. Mystic Class, High-Tier Cultivation Technique, Blue Scorpion Technique. No one knew where Demon Dao techniques originated from. All they knew was that it originated from a mysterious source. At the same time, there were countless formidable techniques. Generally speaking, the stronger the Demon Dao organization, the more Demon Dao techniques they would possess. The Evil Fist sect that was flourishing for a period of time was a Demon Dao sect. A pity that Demon Dao sects weren't accepted by the world. Once they appeared, they would be surrounded and annihilated. If not, there would be countless Demon Dao sects in the East Unicorn continent. Bang 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 bang. The 2 Heavenly Dipper Realm martial artists were fighting in the sky. This battle was very fierce. Everyone could not see the movements of the 2. They could only see the 2 figures crisscrossing from time to time. The sound of the explosion was like rolling thunder. Li Fuchen calmed his mind and killed 1 Earth Realm martial artist after another from the Devil's Hand Guild. 15 minutes later, the Devil's Hand Guild had suffered heavy casualties. Initially there were over 100 Earth Realm martial artists, but now there were only over 20 left. Those who block me shall die. The Devil's Hand Guild's branch leader abandoned the others and escaped alone. With his formidable ability, not even the 2 7th branch leaders could stop him. A dense sword light forced the Devil's Hand Guild's branch leader back. PFF. With 2 sword chi penetrating his body, the Devil's Hand Guild's branch leader was killed by the 2 leaders who caught up. The one who intercepted the branch leader was Emotionless Sword. He acted as though he did something insignificant and turned around to continue killing the other Earth Realm martial artists from the Devil's Hand Guild. This child is truly terrifying. Group 4's leader, Luo Hui, sighed. Group 5's leader nodded. How can a gold-class direct disciple be so simple? That gold-class direct disciple named Li Fuchen killed close to 10 demon Dao martial artists by himself. Chapter 187. Even after all the Devil's Hand Guild members were executed, the battle in the sky had yet to end. The higher the rank of the martial Dao, the more impossible it was to determine the victor within a short period of time. Lu Kuan, as the vice branch master of the 7th branch, cultivated a mystic class, high-tier technique just like Elder Scorpion. In the Azure Water sect, not everyone could cultivate a mystic class, peak-tier technique. Only direct disciples, inner sect elders, and a few others could redeem a mystic class, peak-tier technique. Of course, to Lu Kuan, a mystic class, high-tier technique was enough for now. Up till now, he had only cultivated his mystic class, high-tier technique to the 17th rank and had yet to reach the highest rank, the 18th rank. The two of them had similar techniques and cultivation levels. The only thing they could compete on was their martial arts. Martial arts were ever-changing and varied. It all depended on who was using it. After a few hundred moves, Lu Kuan and Elder Scorpion were still evenly matched. I'm not going to play with you anymore. You made me lose 5 million gold coins. I shall kill 5 of your men then. Elder Scorpion's figure shot down from the sky. His speed was so fast that many couldn't even react in time. You dare! Lu Kuan's eyes were wide open. PFFF, 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 bursts of blood exploded. 5 of the 7th branch's Earth Realm martial artists were blasted into smithereens. Among them were the group leaders of the 4th and 5th group. Elder Scorpion originally wanted to kill Emotionless Sword, but Emotionless Sword's senses were sharp. The moment Elder Scorpion descended from the sky, Emotionless Sword darted to the side. Li Fuchen was in the vicinity too, but slightly further away than Emotionless Sword. He saw the scene of Elder Scorpion killing the 5 men clearly. A difference in cultivation level. The 2 group leaders were at the peak level of the Earth Realm, but they died just like that. Li Fuchen felt a chill in his heart. If Elder Scorpion targeted him, he wouldn't be able to escape death. You are courting death. Lu Kuan chased closely behind Elder Scorpion. You don't have to send me off. If there is a chance, I will take your head. Elder Scorpion increased his speed, as though he activated some kind of escape technique and shook off Lu Kuan. Damn it! Lu Kuan stopped his chase, his face ashen. Group leader Luo and group leader Liang are dead just like that. The other 5 team leaders grieved for the loss of their own kind. We can only blame our bad luck for encountering a Heavenly Dipper realm-level demonic Dao martial artist. AI, this is fate. Yes, if it were us, we wouldn't be able to escape death either. Everyone was in low spirits, and the excitement from wiping out the Devil's Hand Guild's branch had faded. 3 days had passed since the extermination of the Devil's Hand Guild. On the 7th branch's Hunter's board, Li Fuchen's name suddenly appeared, followed by a number 9. This meant that Li Fuchen had killed 9 Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artists. That doesn't sound like much. But in terms of ranking, Li Fuchen had already reached the upper middle tier. On the hunting board, there were a total of over 400 direct disciples' names. Li Fuchen was ranked 198. It must be known that the hunting monument of the Divine Wind Hall and the Iron Blood Hall's branches was the same. In other words, this was the overall ranking, not the branch ranking. Of course, the hunting tablet would be updated. And there will be a delay. Every other month, the Hunter's Monument would only be updated once. For now, the other branches wouldn't have Li Fuchen's name on it. It would only happen at the beginning of the next month. By then, Li Fuchen's ranking would definitely not be 198. After all, the information of the other branches would be updated as well. More than 400 people. More than 400 of them have killed less than 20 people. Only the first 20 people have killed more people. Li Fuchen looked up and saw Xuefeng's name. And Xuefeng was Emotionless Sword. The total number of kills was 98, ranking 5th. Above that were Sword Maniac and Sword Tiger's names. One was ranked 3rd and the other was ranked 1st. One of them had killed 105 people, while the other had killed 145 people. Sword Tiger was a battle maniac, which was why he had more kills than Sword Maniac. But it didn't mean that Sword Tiger's ability was superior to Sword Maniac. All in all, over 400 direct disciples have actually killed over 1,000 Earth Realm demonic Dao martial artists. This is truly a horrifying number. 1,000 Earth Realm martial artists. What kind of concept was that? During the era of Yunwu City's 4 major clans, there were only a dozen Earth Realm martial artists. But in the mid-sized Silver-rich city, there were about 20 to 30 Earth Realm martial artists. Of course, this wasn't just the number of kills within a year, but the number of kills over a decade. If direct disciples didn't break through to the Heaven realm before the age of 40, they would automatically become high-class outer sect elders. Some of them became direct disciples at the age of 20, and before the age of 40, they would have been direct disciples for over a decade. It was still acceptable to kill over 1,000 Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artists over a decade. But what Li Fuchen didn't know was that for the past decade, the number of Earth Realm martial artists killed by direct disciples wasn't just 1,000, it was more like double. Many of those who were no longer direct disciples would have their names erased from the hunting tablet. Many of those who were already dead would have their names erased from the hunting tablet. Including the number of people killed by that group of people, the number of people killed was at least double. What Li Fuchen didn't know was that direct disciples didn't just kill Demon Dao martial artists, they also killed Earth Realm martial artists from other sections. Like the remnants of the Evil Fist sect. Like the Heaven Fiend sect, Spirit Hidden sect, and Violent Saber sect's Earth Realm martial artists. It was impossible for there to be no friction between neighboring sections. But friction didn't mean war, but small-scale wars were common occurrences. 2 years ago, the Azure Water sect and the Heaven Fiend sect had a war. There were over a dozen Heaven Realm martial artists and over 1,000 Earth Realm martial artists. Days passed by. Group 10 was as usual, very idle. Even if there were missions, it wouldn't be Group 10's turn, unless it was a large-scale mission. The end of the month, at the beginning of the second month, Li Fuchen's ranking was no longer 198, but had dropped to 215. Li Fuchen didn't mind this. The number of kills was related to the contribution points. Every time an Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artist was killed, he would receive 20,000 contribution points. Li Fuchen didn't lack contribution points, hence he didn't mind his ranking or the number of kills. The Devil's Hand Guild's headquarters was located underground. In a dark meeting hall, a group of black figures sat around a table. Our branch has been wiped out by the Azure Water sect's 7th branch. We can't just stay silent and do nothing. We have to retaliate. Of course we have to retaliate, but we have to be fast. We have to eliminate the 7th branch's strength in the shortest time possible, so that the other branches can't provide reinforcements in time. Let's treat this as a lesson to the Azure Water sect. Let them know that offending our Devil's Hand Guild isn't a good thing. When do we make our move? 3 days later. During these 3 days, we will gather all our men and strive to wipe out the 7th branch in one go. At the same time, we will give a vicious blow to the 6th and 5th branch, which are the closest to the 7th branch. Sure. Once we wipe out the 7th branch in 3 days, everyone will join the 5 Poison Guild. They have already sent their men to our branch. Chapter 188. The pale blue soul spirit allowed Li Fuchen's perception to be unbelievably strong. A few months ago, the true Inferno technique had just broken through to the 14th rank. Now, there were signs of breaking through to the 15th rank. As a mystic class, peak tier technique, the true Inferno technique required a long time to break through to every rank. Normally, a few years to break through to the next rank was considered fast. A few months wasn't fast, it was breaking the norm. Under the blazing sun, Li Fuchen sat cross-legged and bathed in the sunlight. Within his body, the true Inferno technique was revolving rapidly, absorbing the traces of scorching energy from heaven and earth. Cultivation techniques also required the absorption of energy, but the quantity required was much lesser than increasing one's cultivation level. It had a higher requirement for the quality of the energy. With the 5 hearts facing sky, Li Fuchen felt that there was a sun in his dantian and a sun in the sky. The 2 suns resonated with each other and produced a subtle connection. Every type of martial arts, including cultivation techniques, contained the laws of heaven and earth. Some contained less, some contained more. Martial arts with less would have a lower grade, while martial arts with more would naturally have a higher grade. It was said that heaven-class martial arts existed in this world. When cultivated to the extreme, it would produce intent that could interfere with the operation of heaven and earth. But no one had ever seen such a thing in the legends. But when an earth-class martial art was cultivated to the extreme, the intent could be separated from the martial art and exist independently. It could even be used to kill. In some of the tombs of absolute experts, there were remnants of various intents. Those who entered would usually be attacked by the intents and have a slim chance of survival. What's more, different intents had different effects. Some true meanings had stronger offensive capabilities, while others had stronger defensive capabilities. Like at the entrance of the tomb, a defensive intent could be laid down. Those who didn't have enough ability would not be able to enter. The true Inferno technique might not be an Earth-class technique, but it was very close. The intent of the technique seemed to be related to the sun in the sky. The small sun in his dantian revolved slowly, as traces of flames spread out. Li Fuchen's true Inferno technique intent was slowly getting stronger. At this time, the Burning Heaven art intent was only a pure concept, and not the true Burning Heaven art intent that had reached the large success stage. When a martial artist comprehended a cultivation method, they had to comprehend the cultivation method's intent and gradually strengthen it. Only then would they be able to increase the cultivation method's realm. One day, when Li Fuchen breaks through to the 21st rank of the true Inferno technique, the true Inferno technique intent would be terrifying. He might even be able to kill someone with the true Inferno technique intent. As the sun set, Li Fuchen slowly withdrew his technique and spat out a scorching breath from his mouth. The next day, when the sun rose, Li Fuchen continued to cultivate. Noon of the third day. Today's sun was extremely scorching, as if it wanted to roast the entire world into nothingness. The miniature sun in Li Fuchen's dantian was spinning at a rapid pace, and the flames were much more than 2 days ago. Not knowing how much time had passed, Li Fuchen felt a burning pain in his dantian and meridians. In the next moment, the true Inferno technique burst out. A surging heat wave, with Li Fuchen as the center, spread to the surroundings. The ground was scorched and cracked. "You finally broke through?" Li Fuchen was delighted. The 15th layer of the true Inferno technique was exceptionally powerful. When Xiao Chen sensed it with his mind, the little sun in his dantian became much brighter, like a clump of pure magma. Just by sensing it with his mind, he could feel a wave of heat. Just now when I felt the burning pain in my dantian and meridians, it seems my cultivation is still too low. If the true Inferno technique was to forcefully break through, it would easily burn the meridians. Only those with a tough body or a high cultivation level would be able to successfully break through. Li Fuchen's body toughness was already top-notch in the Azure Water sect. After all, the Azure Water sect's best body tempering technique was only at the Mystic class, high tier. But Li Fuchen's cultivation level was too low. If it was any other first-level Earth Realm martial artist who forcefully broke through to the 15th rank of the true Inferno technique, they would definitely be burnt to death. Of course, such people were rare. How many of them could reach Li Fuchen's level of perception? I hope the Ice Fire Flower can be saved for the 17th rank. The next time I break through to the 16th rank, I will use it first. Li Fuchen obtained a stalk of Ice Fire Flower from the 100 Herbs hidden domain. This stalk of Ice Fire Flower could help those who cultivated blazing heat techniques or icy cold techniques to break through without harming their meridians. Li Fuchen felt that it shouldn't be a problem to rely on his own strength to break through to the 16th rank. After all, it was just some burning pain and it wasn't considered much. Now that the true Inferno technique broke through to the 15th rank, Li Fuchen's true Inferno technique intent had a huge improvement. With the advancement of the true Inferno technique intent, Li Fuchen's cultivation bottleneck had loosened up. This meant that Li Fuchen could now break through to the second level of the Earth realm. This is really a chain reaction. Li Fuchen wasn't in a hurry to break through. He intended to consolidate the 15th rank of the true Inferno technique first. 2 days later, Li Fuchen took a deep breath and prepared to break through to the second level of the Earth realm. As the true Inferno technique revolved, a large amount of energy gathered from heaven and earth. There were signs of a spirit chi tornado forming. I have to rely on pills. This wasn't the 100 herbs hidden domain after all. The heaven and earth energy was sparse and unable to form a spirit chi tornado. Just by absorbing the heaven and earth energy, Li Fuchen wouldn't be able to break through to the second level of the earth realm in a short period of time. He could only rely on pills. Consuming a yellow class, peak tier pill, Li Fuchen revolved his cultivation technique to absorb the medicinal effects. A moment later, Li Fuchen consumed another yellow class, peak tier pill. Within 2 hours, Li Fuchen consumed a total of 5 yellow class, peak tier pills. If converted into contribution points, it would be around 40,000 to 50,000. It was all thanks to Li Fuchen's wealth. A few thousand meters up in the sky, a Class 2 spirit beast, cloud-piercing eagle was flying. On the back of the cloud-piercing eagle stood an Earth Realm martial artist. From his attire, he was obviously from the Azure Water sect. This was a scout from the 7th branch and was in charge of scouting the surroundings. The reason why the Devil's Hand Guild's branch was eradicated was because they didn't have any aerial spirit beasts. The method of taming spirit beasts was basically in the hands of the sect. This was the foundation of the sect. If they relied on riding horses or traveling by foot, when the enemies arrived at their doorstep, they probably wouldn't even have the chance to send back any news. The spy was very leisurely, eating fruits while looking down from time to time. From a few thousand meters up in the sky, the scout could see a black tide surging towards the 7th branch. This is the enemy. The scout was shocked. Controlling the cloud-piercing eagle, he turned around and was about to send a message. But right at this moment, in the sky above, a black-clothed man broke through the air and sent a palm strike at the scout. It was a Heaven Realm martial artist. The scout, along with the cloud-piercing eagle, exploded at the same time. Swish! A red firework burst into the sky, dazzling and eye-catching. The black-clothed man frowned. He already made his move quickly, but didn't expect the enemy to still release a signal flare. No worries. There is still half a day before we reach the 7th branch. I don't think they will be able to do anything. Another black-clothed man appeared and spoke in a cold tone. 7th branch, branch master, someone released a red signal flare. A scout rushed into the branch hall. Red signal flare. Wang Gan's expression was gloomy. A red signal flare meant that there was an enemy invasion. Pass down my orders. Everyone is to head to the 6th branch and set off immediately. This matter concerned the life and death of everyone in the 7th branch. Wang Gan wouldn't be arrogant enough to stay here and wait for the enemy to come knocking. Everyone doesn't believe in Tai Su's character, they have to believe in the power of the contract. Also, I've been a little stuck these few days. I've reached a turning point in the plot, and it's not easy to grasp. Furthermore, Tai Su is a person who likes to be stuck in a dead end, so it doesn't feel right. It's really painful to write. In any case, my bad habits in the past are indeed affecting me. I'm trying to change them. Tai Su wants to become a professional writer and not look like an amateur writer. Chapter 189. The evacuation was too sudden and too shocking. In the Azure Water sect's territory, the 7th branch actually had to take the initiative to retreat. How terrifying must the invading enemy be? It's probably the Devil's Hand Guild's headquarters taking revenge. Li Fuchen guessed. As one of the top 10 Devil Dao organizations in the Azure Water region, the Devil's Hand Guild's strength was rather formidable. With the strength of an organization, they were naturally able to force the 7th branch to retreat. Moreover, one should never underestimate the power of a demonic path organization. The strength of a demonic path organization might not be weaker than a sect. Some powerful demonic organizations were even stronger than the sections. However, they could not appear in the open and could only hide underground. If they dared to appear in the open, they would immediately be attacked by many sections. The Evil Fist sect was an example. If the Demon Dao organizations were too weak, then the Azure Water region's Demon Dao organizations would have long been wiped out. How could they allow others to sleep in their beds? Everyone from the 7th branch rode their rank 2 demonic blood horses towards the direction of the 6th branch. In the East Unicorn continent, Class 2 demonic blood horses were considered as the best means of transportation. Every sect would tame hundreds of thousands of Class 2 demonic blood horses. As for Class 1 demonic blood horses, they were used by regular martial artists for transportation. The rank 2 demonic blood horse's speed was fast, and its endurance was shocking. It could maintain its high speed continuously. However, no matter how fast the level 2 demonic blood horse was, it could not be compared to the flying speed of a Heaven Dipper realm martial artist. 5 Heavenly Dipper realm demonic cultivators blocked the path of the 7th branch. As for the 7th branch, there were only 3 Heaven realm martial artists. One of them was Hall Chief Wang Gan, and the other 2 were Vice Hall Chiefs. Moreover, among the 5 Heavenly Dipper realm Demon Dao martial artists, one is actually a Heavenly Dipper realm middle rank martial artist, although only Heavenly Dipper realm 4th layer, but also Heavenly Dipper realm middle rank. Everyone, charge forward. Don't look back. Wang Qian roared. This was a moment of life and death. Don't think about saving others. It would be good if you could save yourself first. Of course, as the branch master, he could not escape. The 7th branch had more than 10 true disciples. If he escaped and caused all the true disciples to be annihilated, not only would the upper echelons of the sect punish him, even his family would be imprisoned. Charge! Li Fuchen clamped the horse's abdomen and pushed the Class 2 demonic blood horse to its limits. Beside him were Xianxia and several other true disciples. Li Fuchen didn't dare to use his light body technique to travel as he was afraid of attracting attention. If he stood out now, he would die the fastest. As long as we reach the 6th branch, we will be saved. Damn it, these demonic organizations are too arrogant. A true disciple cursed. Humph, just you wait. This time, the sect will definitely be furious, and will definitely send a large number of Heavenly Dipper realm martial artists to wipe out the Demon Dao organization. Another successor disciple looked gloomy. Li Fuchen glanced at them and seemed to have thought of something. He deliberately kept a distance from them. Xianxia was also very smart. Seeing that Li Fuchen intentionally distanced himself, he followed suit. Boom! The intense chi force was like a horrifying storm that engulfed the crowd. At least 7 to 8 Earth Realm martial artists died on the spot. As for the Origin Realm martial artists, at least a few dozen of them died. All of them, along with their horses, exploded into a mist of blood. The one who made the move was a Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist. With his Heaven Realm strength, killing Earth Realm martial artists and Origin Realm martial artists was like killing chickens, killing a whole bunch of them. What a close shave. Looking at the route he took, Xianxiang's scalp went numb. That route had already become a straight line of death. All the men and horses in that straight line were all dead, including those direct disciples. Shortly after, Xianxiang looked at Li Fuchen. His eyes were filled with rejoice and disbelief. To be honest, when he distanced himself from Li Fuchen, it was all a subconscious action. And this subconscious action actually saved his life. If he previously admired Li Fuchen's perception, now he started to admire Li Fuchen as a person. This person wasn't human at all. With such incredible perception and temperament, he knew that if direct disciples gathered together, it would attract too much attention. You and I better maintain a certain distance. We both look too young. One look and you can tell that we are direct disciples. Li Fuchen said. Xianxiang already understood this point and distanced himself from Li Fuchen. Every time this Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist made a move, a large number of lives would be lost. Under his attacks, only 3 of the 7th branch's direct disciples were left. They were Emotionless Sword Xue Feng, Li Fuchen, and Xianxiang. Soon enough, this Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist's attention landed on Emotionless Sword Xue Feng. With his Heaven Realm perception, he could naturally sense that Emotionless Sword Xue Feng's chi presence was extremely sharp and wasn't a regular direct disciple. He should be a gold-class direct disciple. This person grinned and sent a palm strike at Xue Feng. The Class 2 demonic blood horse exploded, while Xue Feng turned into an afterimage and shot out. At the crucial moment, he activated the 2-star secret technique, Divine Movement Leg. Complementing it with his light body technique, his speed reached the limits. He dodged the attack by a hair's breadth. Can you escape? But it's fine too. Blood Owl, will play with you first. Blood Owl sent another palm strike at Xue Feng. Xue Feng threw out a handful of Thunder Blast bombs. The so-called Thunder Blast was a firearm that was even more valuable than the Thunderbolt bomb. A single bomb was worth 10,000 contribution points and could easily kill a low-leveled Earth Realm martial artist. A handful of Thunder Blast bombs would be worth a few 100,000 contribution points. Only a direct disciple of Xue Feng's caliber would have so many contribution points. A large handful of Thunder Blast bombs still couldn't stop Blood Owl's palm force, but it still created an opening. Xue Feng made use of this opening to shift his center of gravity to the left and shot out diagonally. Rumble! Xue Feng's original position was turned into a huge pit. This pit was enough to bury a few hundred people. Interesting. I would like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeves. Blood Owl flicked his finger and shot out a finger force with shocking speed. It was many times faster than a crossbow bolt. Xue Feng's body exploded and turned into shreds. Taking a closer look, it was just a piece of clothing. It turned out that Xue Feng had already executed a cicada shedding secret technique to escape. Luckily Xue Feng is here to distract us. Li Fuchen rejoiced in his heart. 5 Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artists. 4 of them dealt with the 7 branch chiefs, while the remaining 1 dealt with the small fries like them. If another one came, he couldn't guarantee that he could survive. A miserable scream came from the back. It was the voice of the branch vice chief, Lu Kuan. 4 against 3 meant that one of them had to face 2 enemies. Lu Kuan's ability was the weakest, but he had 2 enemies. After withstanding a few hundred moves, he was still killed. Go and kill those small fries. The Devil's Hand Guild leader sent a message to one of them. Yes. The Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist flashed and chased after Li Fuchen's group. Not good, another Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist is here. Li Fuchen was constantly paying attention to his back. He felt a powerful chi presence chasing after him. His heart was shocked and an intense feeling of unwillingness surged in his heart. I must not die here. At this moment, Li Fuchen no longer had any hopes of luck. With his age, he was destined to be the most obvious target. Executing the Wind Shadow steps and activating the Mystical Dragon secret technique, Li Fuchen charged from the Class 2 demonic blood horse. His speed wasn't inferior to emotionless sword Xue Feng. Chapter 190. As Li Fuchen expected, this Heavenly Dipper Realm Demon Dao martial artist put the first target on him. As for the Earth Realm martial artist, he just casually sent out an attack. Whether he died or not, he didn't care. A Heavenly Dipper Realm martial artist's flying speed was extremely fast, comparable to a Class 3 flying demonic beast or a flying spirit beast. In just a short moment, he caught up to Li Fuchen. Junior, your speed is so fast, you should be a Gold Class direct disciple, right? I wonder how it feels to kill a Gold Class direct disciple? Lai Shan laughed heartily and flicked a finger force at Li Fuchen. The ground was penetrated with a large hole, and Li Fuchen evaded in advance. His senses are quite strong, as expected of a Gold Class direct disciple. Lai Shan continuously sent out finger gusts of wind. Pu, large holes appeared on the ground. Li Fuchen utilized the Wind Shadow steps and Shadowless leg to the extreme. His body moved left and right, up and down. It was as though he had lost all weight and could change his direction and speed at any time. Apart from that, Li Fuchen's concentration was at an unprecedented level. There were a few times when Lai Shan's finger force was about to be released. Li Fuchen had already predicted his opponent's attack trajectory. Lai Shan was rather surprised. Dodging his attacks once or twice was still acceptable, but dodging every single time was a little too much. Let's see how you dodge this time. Lai Shan took out a weapon from his storage bag. This weapon was a mountain-crashing hammer. The head of the mountain-crashing hammer was half the size of a millstone. It was forged from the extremely heavy black mountain iron, a low-grade profound level metal. It weighed 4,800 pounds. Not to mention infusing it with true qi. Even without infusing it with true qi, when the hammer smashed down, it would be enough to break the earth and shatter everything. Die! As the hammer blasted down, the heaven and earth energy vibrated. A giant hammer shadow covered Li Fuchen, like a small mountain crashing down. Danger! All the hair on Li Fuchen's body stood up. Every inch of his flesh and blood seemed to be screaming. It was an instinctive reaction. Activating the divine movement leg, Li Fuchen turned into an illusory figure that shot out at an unbelievable speed. Rumble! The hammer shadow smashed 10 meters behind Li Fuchen, the hard ground, as if turned into a water surface. A wave of soil spread out. For a moment, Li Fuchen felt as though the heaven and earth were about to collapse. He was completely unable to control his body and was sent flying along with the powerful shockwave like a straw. Landing heavily on the ground, Li Fuchen vomited a large mouthful of blood and looked pale. This attack was too powerful. Even though it was just the shockwave, it was enough to seriously injure him. If his physical fitness wasn't so high, just the shockwave alone would have been enough to shatter his bones. Why aren't you running anymore? Lai Shan raised the mountain-blasting hammer high up and planned to smash Li Fuchen into a blood mist. Impudent! Demon cultivators of the demonic Dao, kill them all! 3 figures flew over from the sky. Shockingly, they were 3 Heavenly Dipper realm martial artists. The only Heavenly Dipper realm martial artists who could rush over so quickly were the 3 hall masters of the 6th branch. One of the hall masters unsheathed his sword, and a stream of sword energy swept toward Lai Shan. Clang! Sparks flew into the sky, and Lai Shan was sent flying. The other 2 hall masters followed closely behind him and attacked Lai Shan with their swords. Lai Shan let out a muffled groan, as if he had suffered a serious injury. He hurriedly retreated. The people from the 6th branch are rushing over. You should recuperate properly. One of the hall masters recognized Li Fuchen and transmitted a message. Li Fuchen nodded. His injuries were severe and had to be treated immediately. Retrieving a pill from his storage bag, Li Fuchen felt his heart ache and swallowed it. This was a mystic class, low-tier recuperation pill. It was worth 100,000 contribution points. He didn't expect it to be used so quickly. As for yellow class, peak tier or half-mystic class recuperation pills, although they had decent effects, they weren't as effective as a mystic class, low-tier recuperation pill. A mystic class, low-tier pill was indeed worthy of its name. After 15 minutes, Li Fuchen's injuries had recovered by 30% to 40%. His ruptured internal organs, flesh and bones were all recovering at a rapid pace. When his injuries were at least 50% recovered, Li Fuchen stood up. Next, he didn't need to circulate his technique to recuperate. The remaining effects of the pill would automatically heal his injuries. It's good to have contribution points. 100,000 contribution points were spent just like that. Li Fuchen was only left with about 7 million contribution points in the sect. The rest were exchanged for various items. There were Thunderblast, Mystic class pills, and the Class 3 high-tier Demonic Beast Pelt armor he was wearing was also exchanged for a Class 4 mid-tier Demonic Beast Pelt armor. The higher the grade of the Demonic Beast Pelt armor, the more exaggerated its value. A Class 1 Demonic Beast Pelt armor would at most cost a few dozen gold coins. A Class 2 Demonic Beast Pelt armor would cost a few hundred gold coins. A Class 3 Demonic Beast Pelt armor would cost a few thousand to tens of thousands of gold coins. A Class 4 Demonic Beast Pelt armor would cost at least 100,000 gold coins, which would be 50,000 contribution points. The Class 4 mid-tier Demonic Beast Pelt armor that Li Fuchen was wearing cost him 150,000 contribution points. Other than that, there were other miscellaneous items that cost quite a lot of contribution points. Of course, most of them were used to redeem pills. Antidote pills, recuperation pills, and cultivation assistance pills. Just redeeming pills alone cost Li Fuchen 2 million contribution points. But Li Fuchen didn't feel it was a pity. After all, nothing in this world was worth mentioning when compared to life. Without life, what was the point of having so many contribution points? The 5th and 6th branch halls were the closest to the 7th branch hall. Just as Li Fuchen was hesitating if he should return to participate in the battle, in the sky, another 3 Heaven Realm martial artists flew towards the battlefield. Time to return. Taking a deep breath, Li Fuchen turned and sprinted towards the battlefield. The Devil's Hand Guild's headquarters was invading on a large scale. It wasn't just Heaven Realm martial artists, there were definitely Earth Realm and Origin Realm martial artists. By the time Li Fuchen returned to the battlefield, the battle was already in full swing. Up in the sky, Wang Gan was the only hall master of the 7th branch left. Luckily, the 6 hall masters of the 6th and 5th branch had rushed over. The number of Heaven Realm martial artists of the Devil's Hand cult had also increased from 5 to 8. The situation was still disadvantageous to them. On the ground, the Devil's Hand Guild was densely packed and were wantonly slaughtering the remnants of the 7th branch. Li Fuchen saw the figure of emotionless sword Xue Feng. Xue Feng was extremely courageous. Even though he was injured, he was still fighting against 3 peak-level Earth Realm martial artists. Although he was at a disadvantage, his life wasn't in danger yet. Kill! Li Fuchen didn't hesitate and joined the battle. Every expert grew up through blood and fire. Since even Heaven Realm martial artists couldn't kill him, he didn't have to fear some Earth Realm martial artists. Li Fuchen's participation had a negligible impact on the entire battlefield. It was fortunate that the battlefield was large enough and spanned across 7 to 8 miles. If not, once Li Fuchen joined, he would immediately attract the attention of the Devil's Hand Guild's experts. 1 hour later, the 7th branch was almost completely wiped out. Xue Feng, Li Fuchen, and the others retreated as they fought, extending the battlefield even further and wider. Demon Dao Demon, how dare you act so presumptuously in my Conglan region? Kill without mercy. Finally, the 6th branch's men arrived. When the 7th branch's scouts realized that the Devil's Hand Guild was invading, they had already released the signal flare. The scouts that passed through the branches released the signal flare one after another, spreading the news very quickly. A few hours ago, the 6th branch's men had already rushed over at full speed. It was fortunate that the various branches weren't too far apart and could reinforce each other in the shortest time possible. If not, no one from the 7th branch would have survived. P.S. I wish everyone a happy Mid-Autumn festival. Today, the Tai Su clan will be having dumplings and mooncakes. Chapter 191. 2 hours later, the men from the 5th branch arrived. The 2 branches joined forces and temporarily withstood the attacks of the Devil's Hand Guild. For Xue Feng and Li Fuchen, this was the situation they wanted. They were both prodigies among prodigies and had a perfect grasp of timing. Every time they made a move, they would basically claim a life. This was something that many people who were stronger than them couldn't do. Unfortunately, there were too many people from the Devil's Hand Guild. They had almost double the number of people from the 2 branches added together. The 6th and 5th branch began to retreat step by step. One more is one more. Li Fuchen's internal injuries had already recovered by about 80%. The mystic class, low-tier recuperation elixirs were extremely potent and had been nourishing his body. The black gold sword danced and an Earth Realm martial artist from the Devil's Hand Guild was pierced through the heart by Li Fuchen. Up until now, more than 10 people had died by his hands. On the other side, Xue Feng had killed at least 20 people. Other than the 9th level of the Earth Realm or the peak stage of the Earth Realm, there was basically no one who could withstand a single sword from him. His sword was extremely fast and ruthless. The nickname Emotionless Sword was not just for show. With the 2 of them around, the situation gradually improved. However, it was also because of this that the 2 of them attracted even more attention. On Li Fuchen's side, there was an 8th level Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artist and a 9th level Earth Realm Demon Dao martial artist. Li Fuchen believed that if it was just one of them, he would still be able to resist. But if there were 2 of them, then the pressure would be too much. He was now at the 2nd level of the Earth Realm. With the addition of the 15th rank of the True Inferno technique and the Mystical Dragon Secret technique, his combat strength was almost at the 6th level of the Earth Realm. There wasn't much difference between him and an 8th level Earth Realm Evil Dao martial artist. Die. The first to make a move was a middle-aged demon Dao martial artist with a goatee who was at the 9th level of the Earth Realm. His weapon was also a sword with a forked tip like a snake's tongue. The sword intent revolved and thrust at Li Fuchen. Vaguely, Li Fuchen seemed to see a poisonous snake shooting over. This seemed to be a sword technique related to snakes. The sword intent comprehended had the characteristics of snakes. Li Fuchen didn't clash head-on with his opponent and executed the 9-revolution sword art. Li Fuchen's strength was reduced to 30% or 40% after the 9-revolution sword art's twisting and turning. He couldn't do anything to Li Fuchen. Force dissipation sword technique? The goateed middle-aged man was displeased. He hated encountering such different martial arts the most. Dancing snakes. The goatee man's sword intent burst out and slashed at Li Fuchen. 100,000 turns. Every time Li Fuchen's 9-revolution sword art turned, it would produce both hard and soft forces, which would neutralize most of the opponent's sword art. Blood-killing palm. On the side, the 8th level Earth Realm man with a sword scar on his face suddenly sent a palm strike at Li Fuchen. In the air, there was a pungent smell of blood that was nauseating. Li Fuchen did not dare to be careless. Demon Dao martial art, 9 out of 10 are very vicious. This blood-kill palm, it is estimated that it is a poisonous palm, cannot be taken. Footwork flash, Li Fuchen figure suddenly disappeared. Under the joint attack of the duo, Li Fuchen found it hard to retaliate. He had to rely on the 9-revolution sword style and the shadowless leg to contend with them. Xue Feng's situation was similar to Li Fuchen's. In fact, he was in a worse state than Li Fuchen. Before the 6th and 5th branch members arrived, he was already surrounded by 3 peak-level Earth Realm martial artists. Now, he was surrounded by 2 peak-level Earth Realm martial artists and 3 9th-level Earth Realm martial artists. Just as everyone was losing ground and was in a bitter battle, the deacon's strongest support arrived. Who dares to act so presumptuously in this old man's patrol area? A firm voice was like the rumbling of thunder, causing everyone's blood to boil. Only to see 5 figures breaking through the sky and descending. The leader had a chi presence that surged like the sea, covering the sky and earth. He was obviously a high-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist. The patrol elder is here. Ha brothers, kill. Below, the Azure Water sect was overjoyed. The Azure Water region was vast. Just relying on the Divine Wind Hall and the Iron Blood Hall wasn't enough to maintain the situation. Hence, the upper echelons of the sect set up 8 patrol areas in the Azure Water region. They were the East, Southeast, South, Southwest, West, Northwest, North, and Northeast patrol areas. Each patrol area had a high-leveled Heaven Realm martial artist and 4 low- and mid-leveled Heaven Realm martial artists overseeing it. These patrol elders would often patrol their own areas, and if there was any situation, they would be able to provide reinforcements. Not good, it's the patrol elder. Why am I so unlucky to bump into him? The Devil's Hand Guild leader was shocked. If the 10 branches of the Divine Wind Hall were hunting dogs, then the patrol elder was a goshawk. He was even more terrifying than the hunting dogs and was the nightmare of the Demon Dao. Retreat quickly. The Devil's Hand Guild leader couldn't be bothered with the others. After yelling out, he immediately retreated with extreme speed. Wang Gan escaped from death. His body was covered in blood and his heart was filled with joy. It seemed like the heavens still favored him and allowed him to hold on until now. It was a pity that the 2 vice branch leaders were dead. Trying to leave? Did you get this old man's permission? The leader of the patrol elders drew his artifact sword and with a single slash, the sky was filled with thunder sword rain. Crackle! The insufferably arrogant Devil's Hand Guild leader was instantly drowned in the rain of swords and was dead beyond death. The other 7 Heaven Realm martial artists from the Devil's Hand Guild wanted to escape too, but how could they escape? They were all killed like vegetables being chopped up. With the support of the Heaven Realm martial artists, the situation on the ground was instantly reversed. The originally aggressive Devil's Hand Guild members were now wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. They wished their parents had given them a few more legs. The ruler of the Azure Water region is ultimately the Azure Water sect. These demon Dao organizations can only be arrogant for a moment. Seeing the Devil's Hand Guild members dying one by one, Li Fuchen let out a breath of relief. The Azure Water sect's ability was unfathomable and no one could fully grasp it. The Divine Wind Hall and the Patrol region was just the tip of the iceberg. If the Azure Water sect burst out with their full strength, even 1,000 Devil's Hand Guild members would be slaughtered. In less than 1 hour, the entire Devil's Hand Guild would be annihilated. Those that could escape were just some small cats and dogs that weren't worth mentioning. Greetings to Elder Lin. The 7 branch leaders came in front of the patrol elder and bowed with cupped hands. Elder Lin scanned the battlefield and inquired, "How are the casualties?" Wang Qian said in a sorrowful voice, "My 7th branch was almost completely wiped out. Even the 2 branch vice hall masters are dead. Even the true inheritors suffered heavy casualties. As for how many of them survived, I'm not sure." When he heard that the 2 branch vice leaders had perished in battle, Elder Lin's expression didn't change. But when he heard that direct disciples had suffered heavy casualties, Elder Lin was infuriated. "Damn it, a bunch of rats. We have to sweep the Azure Water region once and exterminate all these demon Dao organizations." Every few years or 10 years or so, the Azure Billow territory would wipe out a demon Dao organization. But these demon Dao organizations were hidden deeply and couldn't be eliminated. It seemed as though there was a faction supporting them from behind the scenes. Other than that, every sweep would result in countless casualties. Some of the demon Dao organizations were forced to a dead end and would willfully release poison and murder in the surrounding cities. Sometimes, the entire population of a city would be massacred. But with so many direct disciples dead, no matter how troublesome it was, they had to sweep through them. After all, direct disciples were the future pillars of the Azure Water sect. If they didn't pay attention to them, these demon Dao organizations would continue to be lawless. Chapter 192. After some calculations, out of the 14 direct disciples from the 7th branch, only 3 survived. They were Emotionless Sword Xue Feng, Li Fuchen, and Xiang Tianxiang. Xiang Tianxiang's luck was great. The first Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist was chasing after Emotionless Sword Xue Feng. The second Heaven Realm Demon Dao martial artist was chasing after Li Fuchen. Xiang Tianxiang escaped far away and didn't encounter any danger. I wonder what the sect's reaction will be? With the death of 11 direct disciples, even Li Fuchen felt the severity of the situation. A mere Devil's Hand Guild was able to kill 11 of the Azure Water sect's direct disciples. If the top 10 demon Dao organizations were to erupt at the same time, what would happen? Even though the possibility was minute, but as long as there was a possibility, it was a huge threat. With the 7th branch destroyed, Li Fuchen and the remaining members of the 7th branch were temporarily residing in the 6th branch. A few days later, the news reached the Azure Water sect. The upper echelons of the Azure Water sect were enraged. Within the Azure Water Grand Hall, the sect patriarch, the sect protectors, and the inner sect elders who were ranked highly were all present. Damn those demon Dao organizations. This time we must uproot them. Of course we have to uproot them. It should have been 12 years since the last purge. I wonder how much information the secret faction has. I don't think so. These demon Dao organizations are all very crafty. They would change their location every few years. Some of them even have multiple layers. It's hard to differentiate between real and fake. It doesn't matter how much information they have. This time, it is time to purge the demon Dao organizations. I have always felt that the original strategy wasn't reliable. It is easier said than done to grasp all the information of the demon Dao organizations and wipe them out in one fell swoop. We should purge them once every few years and force them to leave the Azure Water region. TSK, force them to leave the Azure Water region? Is that possible? When a martial artist cultivates, what do they rely on? Resources. In other regions, they either join other demon Dao organizations, or they can only live with their tails between their legs, struggling at death's door. But in the Zhanglan region, even though we have the Zhanglan sect, resources are easy to come by. From time to time, we can use commoners or martial artists to practice Demon Dao martial arts, improving at a rapid pace. A Qi realm martial artist who cultivates Demon Dao martial arts will be able to enter the Origin realm within a few years, and the Earth realm within 10 to 20 years. If they are talented, they may be able to reach the Heaven realm within 30 to 40 years. In order to maintain such a rapid cultivation speed, you need your own territory. The inner sect elder who spoke had eyes full of wisdom and had a thorough analysis of the Demon Dao organizations. Elder Gu is right. Demon Dao martial arts can improve at a godly speed. Although it is easy to go berserk during the cultivation process, and the higher the cultivation, the higher the chance of going berserk. But such an astonishing speed of improvement still attracted countless people. And in an unfamiliar territory, they have no way to recruit members. Unless it is a last resort, I don't think they will leave the Azure Water region. An inner sect elder supported. Listening to the inner sect elders expressing their opinions, the white-clothed middle-aged man waved his hand. It is useless to argue about this now. Wait for the secret faction leader to come in and see what she has to say. Sect Patriarch, the secret faction leader has arrived. Outside the door, the guard's voice echoed. Summon her in. The white-clothed middle-aged man said. The secret faction leader was an expressionless middle-aged woman with sharp eyes. Her cultivation was extremely high and had reached the 9th level of the Heaven realm. Sima Lu greets Sect Patriarch. The middle-aged woman bowed and cupped her fist. Sima Lu, tell me about the information that the secret faction has on the nests of the Demon Dao organizations. The white-clothed middle-aged man said. Simalia said, after 12 years of hard work, the Secret Hall has already grasped the information of 15 demonic path organizations. 6 of them are the top 10 demonic path organizations. They are the Poisonous Fly Society, Dead Man Valley, and the 5 Poison Society. Oh, they have information on the nest of the 5 Poison Guild? The white-clothed middle-aged man's eyes lit up. 5 Poison is the top 3 Demon Dao organizations in Azure Billow territory. In its organization, there are dozens of Heavenly Dipper realm martial artists. There are 5 leaders. They are 5 Heavenly Dipper realm 9th layer Demon Dao martial artists. They are known as 5 Poison Elders. They are Blue Scorpion Elder, Golden Toad Elder, Red Chain Elder, 1,000 Feet Elder, Gecko Elder. They actually have so much information. It seems like the original plan is still feasible. Hearing that Sima Lu had information on the 15 Demon Dao organizations, everyone was shocked. Taking a deep breath, the white-clothed middle-aged man spoke in an unquestionable tone. It is enough to have information on the nests of the 15 Demon Dao organizations. Even if we can't wipe out all the Demon Dao organizations in the Azure Water region, we will at least wipe out most of them. There is no time to lose. In order to prevent the information from leaking out, the operation shall begin now. Someone, invite all the Supreme Elders over. There is no need to invite them. I'm here. A gray-haired elder instantly appeared in the Grand Hall. His Qi presence was prowess without any anger. In the Grand Hall, only the white-clothed middle-aged man could be on par with him. Elder Xie, you came at the right time. This time, we might need your help to eliminate the 5 Poison Guild. He didn't intend to let all the Supreme Elders participate in the operation. He just wanted to ask which Supreme Elder was willing to join. Since Elder Xie was here, there was naturally no need to inform the other Supreme Elders. A bag of old bones, just the right time to exercise. Elder Xie nodded. A short moment later, more than 200 inner sect elders made their move. In the skies above the Azure Water sect, the densely packed figures covered the sky. Even if they didn't intentionally release their Qi presence, their horrific Qi presence caused the air to stagnate. Swish, 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 all the inner sect elders were split into 15 groups and flew out instantly. Among them, no one could see Elder Xie's figure, as though he was invisible. On the first day, 4 Demon Dao organizations were eliminated. On the second day, 8 demon Dao organizations were eliminated. On the third day, Supreme Elder, the 5 Poison Guild is at the bottom of that short mountain in front. The one who spoke was the upper echelon of the secret faction. Elder Xia nodded and spoke to Grand Elder Zhao Wujing. Seal the area within a 10-mile radius. Don't let a single fly escape. Zhao Wujing and the inner sect elders split up. This short mountain is a little troublesome. It seems like we have to use the secret technique. Elder Xia took a deep breath. The moment he exhaled, a horrifying qi presence burst out. This qi presence was about to freeze the void and shatter the sky. Within a few miles radius, this qi presence enveloped everything. At the same time, the clouds in the sky started to swirl. Sect origin swords, condense. Tens of thousands of sword qi appeared out of nowhere and quickly fused together, forming a giant sword that connected heaven and earth. Raising his right hand high, Elder Xia swung down ruthlessly. Kacha! The short mountain that was close to 100 meters in height was split into two. Elder Xia constantly brandished his right hand. The giant sword pierced into the ground, creating huge holes. Each hole was 10 meters wide and unfathomably deep, as though it was going to pierce through the earth. The interior of the 5 poison triad had long since descended into chaos. The might of the 10,000 ancestral swords was too great. Every time it descended, there would be a large number of 5 poison triad members buried alive or killed by the aftershocks of the might emitted by the gigantic sword. It is a reincarnation realm martial artist. Chapter 193. In the East Unicorn continent, reincarnation realm martial artists were the true rulers. They ruled over the sects, and the sects ruled over the continent. If a sect didn't have a reincarnation realm martial artist overseeing it, then the sect would be eradicated in a blink of an eye. Only a sect with a reincarnation realm martial artist could be passed down. The leader of the 5 Poison Gang would never have thought that the Azure Water sect would be able to locate their base. For so many years, they would always return to their base through the various underground tunnels. They would never openly come to the short mountain, only allowed on creative novels. Come in the blink of an eye, half of the 5 Poison Gang's lair had collapsed. The rest of the places had also successively collapsed. Countless rocks and soil collapsed. Don't even talk about Heaven Realm martial artists, even Reincarnation Realm martial artists wouldn't be able to withstand it. Swish, 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 one figure after another shot out from the crack and fled in all directions. Judging from their aura, they were clearly Heavenly Dipper Realm martial artists. Scatter, exterminate. Elder Xie sneered and clenched his right fist tightly before releasing it abruptly. Swish, 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 swish. Like a fairy scattering flowers or a peacock spreading its tail, the giant sword scattered into tens of thousands of sword chi. Each sword chi could easily kill a Heaven Realm martial artist. Golden Toad Body. An elder in dark gold robes burst out with chi presence. A golden toad shadow enveloped him and blocked off multiple sword chi. Lizard tail severed. There was another elder in brown robes who took the initiative to sever one of his fingers. This finger exploded into a blood mist and formed into a blood-colored figure. The blood-colored figure blocked off the calamity for him. 4-star secret technique. Interesting. A pity that he still has to die. Elder Xie controlled more sword chi to shoot at the two of them. Crackle. The first to die was the elder in gold robes. The golden toad shadow that enveloped him finally collapsed after blocking off a dozen sword chi. The next to die was the elder in brown robes. This person's 4-star secret technique was incredible. He could constantly mutilate his body to create a blood-colored figure to face the calamity for him. But the speed of the blood-colored figure couldn't match the speed of the sword chi's destruction. After a dozen sword chi, the blood-colored figure along with the original body exploded into a blood mist. Only 2. Elder Xie frowned. He had killed over 20 Heavenly Dipper Realm demonic cultivators, but he had only used up a few dozen of his sword chi. What he was concerned about was where the other 3 leaders of the 5 Poison Triad were. Had they already died underground? 7 or 8 li away. Myriad swords returned to origin. Zhao Wujin let out a loud roar, and several thousand streaks of sword qi shot over, enveloping the Blue Scorpion Elder. The Blue Scorpion Senior Elder's ability was extremely formidable. Even among the Azure Water Sect's inner sect elders, he was ranked top 20. A pity that against Zhao Wujin's sect origin swords, he couldn't do anything and was immediately sliced to death by the countless sword qi. On the other side, 4 inner sect elders joined hands to deal with Grand Elder Qi Lian. After tens of moves, Grand Elder Qi Lian was killed. Only Elder Thousand-Legged was nowhere to be seen. Several hours later, Elder Xie and the others could only helplessly give up. According to the information they had, the 5 Poison Triad's Grand Elder 1,000 Feet was an expert in burrowing into the ground. It was likely that he had already burrowed into the ground and escaped. Although everyone felt helpless about this, they were not too disappointed. Even if a 1,000-legged elder were to cause trouble, he wouldn't amount to much. What's more, if he dared to appear and cause trouble, the Azure Water sect would still be able to find him. This world was huge. There were all sorts of martial arts and secret techniques. Some sects had secret techniques that specialized in tracking. As long as they intercepted a trace of your qi presence, they would be able to chase you to the ends of the world. The news of the destruction of the 15 demon Dao organizations didn't spread out. The only ones who knew of this inside information were the upper echelons of the Azure Water sect and the remaining demon Dao organizations. Seeing that the Azure Billow sect was infuriated, the remaining demon Dao organizations were very obedient and didn't dare to come out to cause trouble. They knew that the Azure Billow sect didn't make a move. Once they made a move, they would be ruthless. In the next few years, it was best to restrain themselves. After staying at the 6th branch for a week, Li Fuchen set off for the Azure Water sect. He had a faint premonition that for a long period of time, the Azure Water region would be very safe. And in a safe era, the Divine Wind Hall and Ironblood Hall were no different from decorations. Staying here would only be a waste of time. He needed to go back and attempt the Direct Inheritance Tower before heading out to temper himself. That's right, he was preparing to head out to temper himself. Cultivating step by step wasn't the life he wanted. He couldn't possibly cultivate until he reached the Heaven realm in the Azure Water sect. That kind of life was too boring and dry. The Direct Inheritance Tower was harder to pass with each floor. As of now, among the Direct disciples, only 3 had passed the 3rd floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower. Emotionless Sword Xue Feng wasn't one of them. Li Fuchen naturally didn't have the ability to pass the 3rd floor. His goal was to pass the 2nd floor. Arriving at the Direct Inheritance Tower, Li Fuchen saw Emotionless Sword Xue Feng. After not seeing him for a few days, Xue Feng's cultivation was actually at the 6th level of the Earth realm. He should be here to attempt the 3rd floor, right? Li Fuchen thought to himself. Xue Feng noticed Li Fuchen too. He had a good impression of Li Fuchen and in his heart, he had already treated Li Fuchen as one of them. Withdrawing his gaze, Xue Feng entered the Direct Inheritance Tower. A moment later, the lantern on the 3rd floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower lit up. Passed. Li Fuchen's eyes lit up. The 1st floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower was filled with Class 3 mid-tier demonic beasts. The 2nd floor was filled with Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts, and the 3rd floor was filled with Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts. But the 2nd floor was filled with weak Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts, while the 3rd floor was filled with extremely powerful Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts. Walking out of the Direct Inheritance Tower, Xue Feng's eyes seemed to be a little gentler. Sword Maniac was obsessed with sword arts. Apart from going into seclusion, he would be cultivating and had no intention of going out to temper himself. But apart from Sword Maniac, the rest of them had basically gone out to temper themselves. As for Li Fuchen, he was going out to temper himself. He had already planned that once he passed the 3rd floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower, he would head out to temper himself. If you wish to head out to temper yourself, it is best to go to the 100 Battle region. That is a region that is dozens of folds bigger than the Azure Water region. There are countless opportunities and dangers within. It is the best place to temper yourself. While brushing past Li Fuchen, Xue Feng transmitted a message into Li Fuchen's ears. Li Fuchen let out a faint smile. His training location was indeed the 100-battle region. This was a region without an owner. There were plenty of factions and martial artists within. It was rumored that there was even a hidden tomb of an absolute master. As such, it naturally attracted more martial artists to head there. With more people, there would be more disputes. It was unknown how many martial artists had died in the 100-battle region and left behind unique martial arts manuals. It could be said that the 100-battle region was the easiest place to obtain martial arts manuals. Other than that, the 100-battle region had countless danger zones. It was rumored that it was once the battlefield of absolute masters. But after the absolute masters vanished, the traces they left behind became dangerous zones. As for why Xue Feng knew that he was heading out to temper himself, Li Fuchen didn't think too much about it. Prodigies were always alone, but prodigies always understood each other's thoughts. Chapter 194. Progressed to the second level of the Earth Realm. Comprehended 3 mystic class, mid-tier sword intense. Li Fuchen passed the second floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower without much difficulty. Passing the second floor of the Direct Inheritance Tower allowed one to redeem a direct inheritance. This time, Li Fuchen redeemed a 3-star secret technique. 4-star secret techniques could only be redeemed after passing the 4th floor. As for 5-star secret techniques, they could only be redeemed after passing the 7th floor. To Li Fuchen, it was too far away. This 3-star secret art was called the Primary Clear Hand. It could convert the true qi flowing through the hand into primary clear true qi. The explosive power of the true qi was even greater than the Mystical Dragon secret art. The Mystical Dragon secret art could double the explosive power of true qi, but the Primary Clear Hand could double the explosive power of true qi. But the Mystical Dragon secret technique was an all-round enhancement, while the Primary Clear Hand could only enhance the hand. In terms of preciousness, the Mystical Dragon secret technique was naturally superior. Other than the 3-star secret technique, Li Fuchen redeemed another mystic class, high-tier sword art. In the Azure Water sect, mystic class, high-tier martial arts weren't considered a true inheritance. Only mystic class, peak-tier martial arts were considered true inheritances. Of course, not everyone could redeem a mystic class, high-tier martial art. Except for direct disciples and inner sect elders, the rest of the upper echelons would need to contribute to the Azure Water sect in order to redeem a mystic class, high-tier martial art. The mystic class, high-tier sword art that Li Fuchen redeemed was called the Blaze Devil Sword Art. This was an extremely fearsome sword art. When cultivated to the extremity, it had the power to repel even gods and ghosts. Li Fuchen didn't expect to comprehend the Blaze Devil Sword intent in a short period of time. It wasn't realistic, even with his pale blue soul spirit, it was impossible. His perception was sufficient, but his cultivation level was too far off. Even so, Li Fuchen still redeemed it. He didn't know when he would be able to return from this training trip. Perhaps during this period of training, he might be able to comprehend the Blaze Devil Sword intent. Not in a hurry to train, Li Fuchen calmed himself down and concentrated on studying the Primary Clear Hand. As his understanding of the Primary Clear Hand deepened, Li Fuchen realized that the Primary Clear Hand wasn't inferior to the Mystical Dragon secret technique. Even though it wasn't as all-round as the Mystical Dragon secret technique, it could still double the burst strength of the hand. In addition, it could also strengthen the hand. Once cultivated to the completion rank, the hand wouldn't be inferior to a yellow class, peak-tier weapon. The Primary Clear Hand had a total of 2 ranks. At the first rank, the palm would turn pale pink. When he reached the second level, the color of his palm turned light yellow. Only by cultivating to the second level of perfection would the color of the palm return to normal. Looking at the pink and tender palm, Li Fuchen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This pair of palms were too delicate. If one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't even be able to see the pores. However, unlike a woman's hands, this pair of palms were delicate, but not weak. They looked like they were carved from jade, and they were filled with power. Without injecting any qi, Li Fuchen stuck his right hand into a yellow class, mid-tier ore. Puff, puff, puff. Both of his hands stabbed the ore repeatedly, turning it into a hornet's nest. This is equivalent to a body refining technique for the hand? Li Fuchen was in deep thought. After a period of time, Li Fuchen's palm turned pale yellow. The pale yellow palm gave off a cold feeling, giving off a very violent feeling. It was as if the pair of hands had a mind of its own, ready to take someone's life at any moment. Li Fuchen sized up the familiar yet unfamiliar palm. He realized that after reaching the second rank of the primary clear hand, there were many fine veined patterns on the skin. Upon closer inspection, these veined patterns obviously contain the secrets of the primary clear hand. This secret technique sure is mystical. Li Fuchen lamented. Even though the secret technique was also a martial art. But in fact, it was very different from a martial art. Martial arts required one to comprehend the intent. But the secret technique seemed to be unearthing the mysteries of heaven and earth. The two paths were completely different. One was to create, the other was to unearth. It is time to go out and temper myself. It wasn't an easy task to cultivate the primary clear hand to the completion rank. Apart from opening up all the meridians in the hands, it also required the refinement of the flesh and blood of the hands, making the flesh and blood tougher and able to withstand more force. Which was why perception was useless now. The process that needed to be done couldn't be skipped. You want to go out and temper yourself? In the direct disciple grand hall, Zhao Wujin was surprised. Li Fuchen nodded, yes. Isn't it a little too early? You are only at the second level of the earth realm. It wouldn't be too late to go out after you break through to the sixth level of the earth realm. I believe it wouldn't take you more than a few years. Zhao Wujin advised. Tempering oneself was too dangerous. If 10 direct disciples went out to temper themselves, there would always be 1 or 2 who would die outside. To temper oneself, one didn't just need a certain level of ability, but also luck. If one's luck wasn't good, they might just offend a heaven realm martial artist. Li Fuchen replied, I want to grow faster. The azure water region is no longer able to satisfy me. Grow faster. Zhao Wujin shook his head with a bitter smile. If he was already dead, how could there be any growth? The so-called growth was built on the foundation of being alive. In short, he didn't understand the thoughts of these gold-class direct disciples. These gold-class direct disciples were all unconventional. Once they set their mind on something, even 10 horses wouldn't be able to pull them back. Only Sword Maniac was slightly better. But he knew that Sword Maniac was a special case. He was obsessed with sword arts and didn't care about anything else. Zhao Wujin seemed to have forgotten that he was once a gold-class direct disciple, even though he wasn't one of the elites. Letting out a sigh, Zhao Wujin said, I know you have made up your mind, so I won't try to persuade you anymore. These are 3 devil break arrows and a crossbow that I personally forged. It is for you to protect yourself. If you meet an opponent you can't defeat, a single devil break arrow might be able to turn the situation around. Devil break arrow? Li Fuchen curiously received the 3 arrows that were a foot long and as thick as a chopstick. The arrows were forged with a mystic class, mid-tier metal, black gold iron. At the arrowhead, there was a black crystal that looked extremely lethal. Zhao Wujin explained, the body of the arrow isn't anything special. It is just an ordinary black gold iron. But the crystal on the arrowhead is a rare devil break crystal. It specializes in breaking qi. You can try its power. Hearing Zhao Wujin's explanation, Li Fuchen's true inferno qi emerged from his body and formed a qi protection. Holding the devil break arrow in his right hand, Li Fuchen infused his qi into the qi protection and thrust it at it. With ease, Li Fuchen's arrow pierced through the qi protection. What a powerful killing power. Li Fuchen took in a deep, cold breath. If anyone used this devil break arrow against him, a single devil break arrow would be enough to claim his life. Of course, the prerequisite was to hit the target. Thank you, Grand Elder. Li Fuchen expressed his gratitude. Zhao Wujin said, it won't be too late to thank me after you return. 3 devil break arrows were ultimately just a small trick. If he met an opponent he couldn't defeat, it was still unknown if the devil break arrows would be effective. Leaving the direct disciple Grand Hall, Li Fuchen headed to the resource Grand Hall and redeemed 2 million contribution points worth of elixirs and other items. The next day, Li Fuchen rode on a Class 2 demonic blood horse and galloped out of the Azure Water sect. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.